Now that you have all this fantastic sock yarn, what are you going to do with it? You have many options. Top down, toe up, 2 at a time, worsted weight, or fingering yarn socks. Let's start with a basic vanilla sock. The Yarn Harlot's basic sock recipe is among one of the most popular. It's number 2 currently on Ravelry. Basically, it works with you figure out your gauge. You're doing 1/3 less stitches and for your heel, and it's a slipped stitch ribbed heel, which you can see here, and it's worked top down. This is a fantastic beginner sock, but why start here? We can't talk about knitting without bringing up Elizabeth Zimmerman. She is the grand godmother, fairy godmother of knitting. The Opinionated Knitter and many other of Elizabeth Zimmerman's books feature the Woodman sock. The Woodman sock is a thicker weight wool sock, traditionally done with an afterthought heel. This is a variation of that Woodman sock. It's a worsted weight yarn. What a good place to begin for a beginning sock knitter. Oftentimes, beginning sock knitters are intimidated by the thin yarn, knitting for hours and hours and then having to do it again. Why not start with a worsted weight sock? You're done in half of the time and you get a nice, warm, durable boot sock. It's a good place to begin. While we're talking about the classics, we can't ignore Nancy Bush. Nancy Bush's book, Folk Socks, is among one of the classic knitting reads. One of my favorite patterns in this book are these traditional Scottish kilt hose. It's a lot of knitting, a lot of intricate detail, but it's definitely worth it for the beauty and the history. She offers a good bit of history in the front of the book, so it's more than just your traditional pattern book. Again, a third person to talk about as classics is Charlene Church. Little Box of Socks. You've heard a lot about it recently. One of the nicest features about this is each of the patterns is on its own little card. So no longer are you trying to make an individual photocopy of the book, but you have the individual cards that you can pull from. Martingale Publishing has been kind enough to offer a free copy of Charlene Church's Little Box of Socks to one of our viewers. Leave a comment on the Blogspot page, ENTANGLED-ENCHANTED-ENTWINED.com, and you'll be entered to win your very own copy of Little Box of Socks from Charlene Church. These are the classics. We can't really deny that this is how socks, top down or toe up, have been knit for centuries. Heel gussets, toe flaps, afterthought heels. But now, with knitting creating this new exciting world with the internet, we can't deny that there's more places to go. Cookie A's pattern that she featured in Knitty.com, the monkey sock, has over 12,000 projects on Ravelry to date. We'll look here. Grumparaina's Jaywalker socks, seen here, knit by my stunt knitter, DeBebo. Over 12,000 of these socks have been knit to date via Ravelry.com. These are people that are entering it in their project page. Imagine how many more are actually being knit. The stitch definition is beautiful. It has still your traditional heel flap, and this is knit from the top down. Also, another example of a top-down sock are the River Rapid sock, which we blocked out here on these fine sock blockers. Look at the beautiful stitch definition. It's featured on both sides of the sock, so it frames the foot beautifully. So much consideration has been made. If I had to name one person that has really reinvented sock knitting or made innovations in sock knitting, I can't go forward without talking about Kat Bordy. One of my favorite books is New Pathways for Sock Knitters. This here is one of her Coriolis socks. Coriolis refers to a spiraling weather pattern. Note the spiral increases that occur starting on the foot and working the way around. A slip stitch heel knit from the toe up. Her sock construction is different. It literally is New Pathways for Sock Knitters. Don't feel like you want to dive in with a whole sock? Cat offers little mini socks so you can learn the construction techniques. I highly recommend this book if you're learning to expand your vanilla sock recipe. Also, these socks here, which I knit out of an alpaca from Classic Elite Yarns, alpaca socks, feature a beautiful lace diamond pattern. This book, Vogue's Ultimate Sock Book, features not only a history of sock knitting, basic vanilla patterns to choose from, a stittionary in color, and has beautiful patterns throughout. It's a highly recommended and seasoned sock book in my collection. We can't talk about socks without talking about Cookie A. Cookie A's monkey sock has had over 12,000 people knit it. Cookie A's book, Sock Innovations, is among one of the best-selling sock books around. Her monkey pattern is available on knitty.com. Cookie A's sock innovations are written from the top down and the bottom up. You can't deny the beautiful stitch definition, lace work, and cable-laced and twisted stitches that she has available. Also, Wendy Johnson's second book, Toe-Up Socks for Everybody, kind of self-explanatory that we're only talking about toe-up socks, but again, here's a designer that is stretching our basic knowledge and our basic patterning of socks. They're really beautiful, very intricate, and socks that you definitely would want to show off. In anticipation of this Socktoberfest episode, I cast on a pair of patterned socks by a designer that I think is definitely one of the up-and-coming designers for socks. Yarnissimo's Firestarter Socks. It's a free pattern, downloadable on Ravelry.com. Here's a black and white photo, but you can see here in this cashba, which if you haven't knit with cashba, you might want to give it a try. It has a cashmere blend. It has beautiful twisted stitch definition that go along either side. Then if you look here in the photograph, this gusset on the heel is an interesting new way of doing it. I'm really liking the way this is working up. And to stop getting questions about these, yes, they are the Rosewood Lantern Moon sock sticks, and I absolutely love them. I hope you have enjoyed this episode on Socktoberfest. I know I have. I always have a vanilla sock in my purse and in my car for those emergency knitting situations. When I do knit a pattern sock, it's my sofa knitting for the night. But once you start knitting socks, one thing is certain: you will catch the sock bug and be forced to knit more.
A little is a lot, but it's never enough for me.